Hey everybody, I'm Alex Lacasse, and this is Dan Linker.
Dan Linker, welcome to the Dan and Alex show.
Yes, where I, Alex, bring you the wood carving aspect of the show, and Doug, the coffee.
And don't forget, you are the Lux for audio, and I am the Lux for video.
So, why are we doing this?
I think we have such interesting conversations, and instead of me being your every other week guest on your own podcast, we thought we just merged it. So here we are.
I've had a podcast for 2 weeks, and you've been on it twice.
There you go. Yeah. So, we just thought that we would. What are we doing? Let's get right off the bat. Let's just say this is called Coffee and Carving, where we sometimes drink coffee and we sometimes talk about carving.
But maybe not either.
Exactly. For instance, you've already surpassed me with the coffee today because we should say we're recording this on a late evening, and you're drinking coffee, and I'm drinking water.
That's a good coffee. Rubbing it in.
Well, if you want to do this nice and early in the morning, we can have coffee wars.
Coffee wars. In which case we would get way too far into, well, actually probably neither of us would, because neither of us are like really into coffee, right? Would you say you're into it?
I am into strong coffee. Yes, I am.
Oh.
I don't drink actually real coffee until coffee break in the morning at 10. I drink like a six cup espresso.
What?
Yeah, that's my morning routine. I make a full pot of espresso, which is basically a travel mug worth of espresso.
That's an absurd amount of espresso.
Yeah, but it tastes so good.
So you're old.
Thank you.
I'm pretty young.
You are.
Why are we friends?
I think it's the kind of like I'm your foster parent,
right?
Because you've been looking up to me, and I want to give you guidance and
the dad I never wanted.
There you go. No, it's a fun dynamic. That's why, because when we talk, you have your young millennial views, and I have my old man stubborn views, and it makes for a fun conversation.
Yeah, that's true. We're definitely cut from a different cloth, from a different generation, but we share some common interests. For one, the obvious one, of course, coffee.
Oh, coffee.
And wood carving.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah. And how did we ever start talking?
Oh, well, my recollection of our introduction was meeting. I was doing a wood carving class online, a Zoom class, and we were doing an introduction. We were talking, and folks saw, when you're doing a Zoom workshop, as most of the people in the world know from having used Zoom now since COVID, you can see the people who are on the show or on the event or on the class or the call with you, and people saw that you were in the class, and they spent the first 30 minutes talking to you instead of to me, and they were talking to you in the way that they would talk to like an old war general, like a veteran who had served their nation and provided so much for them, and they're just deeply indebted to that person for being a part of their lives. People talk to you like that, and I was like, who is this guy?
But I must have known about you to take your class. So
I don't know how.
Yeah, I don't know how either. Maybe the International Association of Wood Carvers or something, or
Ah,
could
yeah,
be, could
yeah.
be.
So
But
we've both done demonstrations for them, right? So that's probably it.
so, and the hilarious thing, this is why I laugh to myself all the time, is that if you don't know Alex's work, your new name is Alex.
All right,
If you
Dan.
don't know Alex work, it's like he's a true artist, like a real fantastic wood carver. And when people talk about me, I'm known for like nonsense carvings, and like I said, it's like the Mona Lisa versus Carrot Man, the carving. It's like it's just nonsense,
I
but
don't agree.
it's funny. But
Well, so I ended up, to conclude that story, I ended up looking at your stuff online and realizing that you have a massive following. And I was half expecting it, but half not sure what to expect, because again, these folks were talking about you like you were a retired war general. And they were like, thank you so much for all that you've done for the wood carving community. We're deeply thankful that you've gotten young people into carving, and older people alike. And this contribution has been so huge. And everyone in the class started wood carving because it seemed like at least half of the class had. And this has been a reoccurring thing as I've started to teach more since the pandemic ended. Folks bring you up. Of course, I didn't know your name before, so I wouldn't have indexed it, but now your name comes up so often as being the reason that half of my class started carving to begin with. So
yeah,
the way that you deliver what you do, I won't look. I'm not going to turn this into like a bread buttering thing, but you're
I kind
you're
of
the
enjoy
real. You're a real
smoke,
one.
smoke up. Yeah,
You're a real one, man. Your skills in carving are definite. Like watching you handle a knife, when you make a cut and you make a relief cut, the depth is perfect. The slices are consistent and powerful and bold, and a lot of material goes away, and the cuts are clean. And I struggle with keeping clean cuts. That's one of the hardest things. I mean, I know we're getting into the woods here already on nerdy stuff with carving, but it's hard to keep clean cuts. You
well,
so
you don't do it. It's a different thing, right? You're a portrait carver. You
yeah,
don't really make that. So
yeah.
anyway, like I said, my videos are for beginners, and when people talk about me, that's exactly how I talk about Gene Messer,
Hmm.
who is the same to me as I am to others. So it's just fun. So
Did you know Gene Messer was one of the guys that got me into carving?
no, I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah,
Really?
yeah. Gene Messer was for sure the guy who I watched consistently over and over again. He's awesome.
Yeah. No, I really appreciate Gene. There you
He's
go.
so this has been great.
Yep, it's been great. Anytime you want to talk about me some more, feel
Yeah.
free. But
Well, you
anyway,
have
we're talking about the dynamic, the differences in us. And like I said, you're the artist. You make the fantastic realism, perfect portrait carving and whatnot, and I make silly things. That's where we were. So I like
uh,
silly things, but
yeah, it offends my soul when you say things like that about yourself. But I think that's what makes you charming, is that you are not a pretentious guy. You are the least pretentious guy, and you just do stuff that's great. And a lot of times artists get caught up in talking about stuff that's great instead of making it, and they come up with all kinds of really convoluted explanations for why they made what they made and what they
yeah,
made and why it means something else.
yeah, they do.
You get hoity-toity, or
Yeah,
what's the right word? Uh,
you're on the right line.
highfalutin, highfalutin.
Highfalutin. There you go. Yes, yes. Well, no, I've never claimed to be an artist.
Yeah, but you just happen to be
What
one.
is that? What is that, an artist?
Hey Google, what is an artist?
Exactly. Google, tell us.
Artist is used as a noun to mean A person who produces paintings or drawings as a profession or hobby, similarly to creator and originator.
Okay, paintings or
Do you want to
drawings.
hear how artist is spelled?
No.
You sure? Weren't you?
Don't. It's gonna hear you. All right, so I take that back. Neither of us are artists. Painting or drawing. Well, you do some painting on your carvings.
Not the same. There's a lull. Anyway, I don't think Siri's right either. There, I think it's a lot broader term than that. Than just
I have no idea how to define it.
Painting and drawing. But anyway, yeah. What else we got? You got
What have you been up to?
so this week was we're in a heat wave here. I haven't my upstairs, this is my studio, and it's probably 30 degrees Celsius. I don't know what that is in your Fahrenheit. But
30 degrees is like 80 something.
Yeah, well, it's hot here. And yeah, this week was basically did editing. I put out a video of a outdoors trip I did on the weekend, and just kind of babysitting that outside of work, and thinking of my next project, but not nothing too critical, just editing and seeing how that goes. And unfortunately, people were it's still summer. People aren't watching that many videos.
Right.
Yeah, but
it's a great video. I watched it and I enjoyed the trip vicariously through you. I wonder if you get lonely when you're out there in the woods, though. I feel like I'm home alone, and if I know no one's here, usually I wish someone was here. But I imagine when you're out in the woods, being somebody who's never done that, I've never gone on a trip by myself. Is it kind of A, lonely, and B, I'd be scared. I'd definitely be afraid.
What would you be afraid of?
Well, my sense of direction is very bad. I heard Einstein was like this, where he'd leave Princeton and someone would have to take him home every day. He never learned the path home. Well, I'm like Einstein, except for being a genius.
Except for that part.
Yeah.
No, this wasn't I wasn't crossing hundreds of kilometers. I knew where I was at all times. No
Okay,
problem.
so there's that part of it. But then the other part of it is bears. My friend and I on our last trip got in a raging fight over the one bear spray we had remaining, because mine went off in the back because of some cottonwood bark stacked up high on it.
Okay.
Bears.
I don't. I've chased bears away. I don't really have. I think of them more as like dogs. What are you laughing? The difference is, like, when you're in the wild bears are wild. They're as scared as you, generally speaking. You get, of course, you're gonna get the odd grumpy one.
Yeah.
But overall, they're not really something to worry about. So.
If I saw a bear, I think I'd die of a heart attack before it killed me. I'd be the easiest catch.
No.
Yeah.
They're gonna run the other way as fast as you.
I don't know. Have you seen me? I'm like a little burrito, man.
Yeah. No. It's that fear is overblown. No, park bears when bears get used to people, they're not as scared of people. But when you're in the wild, it's I don't really give them much thought.
Wow.
But,
okay, well that answers that.
But the loneliness, doesn't even cross my mind. I don't. I'm so content and happy.
Right.
I don't. Well, just give it some time. Wait till you've had children in your house for 32 years, and then you look forward to these time alone.
Yeah. So when did you start carving?
Well, this is what I said before. I would tell you probably 4 or 5 years ago, and my wife would correct me and say it's probably twice that long. But to be to be fair, maybe probably 6 years now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That was again, that was all because of Gene Messer, and just random, never considered the hobby at all, and just came across a video. And, I thought it was perfect because I come from a real, well, we've talked about this before, but I come from the bushcraft outdoors background.
Yeah.
And at the time, there's lots of, kuksas, cup carving and spoon carving and little trinket carving,
Yeah.
but never, not characters. And I thought that was just so cool. Yeah. So I whittled my first man with a 4-inch blade on a bushcraft knife. And I thought I was just something else. Yeah. Looking back, it was the most horrible thing you ever saw, but it's so fun to have that that fresh excitement, you know.
Yeah.
And you have a fantastic story, which I'm jealous of. You're just a little baby when you started carving.
Yeah. When I was born, instead of a rattle, mom gave me I believe it was it a Denny? It was either a Denny or a, gosh, I'm forgetting which knife maker it was, but yeah. No, I was 12 years old, homeschooled, lived in the middle of nowhere, pretty lonely, I think, for the most part, and to myself, but secretly an extrovert, raging extrovert, wanted to see people, but was kind of scared of people. So the next best thing was probably to carve people and talk to them.
You made friends. You made your own friends.
Yeah. No, but I started carving at a campsite. We were doing some sort of a co-op, Christian co-op homeschool class. The only co-op that I did where the parents teach the students. And we did a soap carving in ivory soap. I made a truck. I used the logo, the ivory logo, as a badge on the back of the semi truck.
Okay.
And teacher thought I was clever, and she said, you should get Alec into wood carving. And my mom was like, what is that? And she got me the kit, and to her credit, she supported me. And I was ADHD, so I couldn't sit in one spot for more than, I don't know why I put it in the past tense. I said I couldn't. I still can't sit in one spot for more than, how long is this podcast going to be?
Yeah.
An hour, probably. Yeah. And
yeah,
it kept me in one spot.
We have that in common.
Yeah. So that I think they secretly supported me for that.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so true. I always tell people, what do you get the most out of it? I said, the ability to stay put. Yep. And work with your hands. Like when you start, anyone who does wood carving knows, once you start, like you can't put it down in 5 minutes.
Right.
Once you dig in, you're in. Right.
Yep.
So
yeah, it's something that's
I want to jump back to what you were saying before about the carving your own friends. The first carving video I made on YouTube is called Sycamore Sam. And I carved a little man out of sycamore, and then I showed on video I was pretending to have a full conversation with him quietly. It was so silly. It was the silliest thing ever. People thought I was absolutely insane. I was having this big conversation with hand gestures, talking to this little wooden carving and stuff. So, yeah,
I think I saw that.
Yeah, it's the first carving video I ever made. Yeah,
I didn't click on the video, but I saw the badge when I was looking through your YouTube a few days ago.
Yeah.
It went off, man. That video had a lot of views, didn't it?
It did for the time. Yeah. Yeah. It did good. That's what I say, like, because the only people who followed me at the time were bushcrafters. And that was something just so different than a spoon, So I think that had a little bit to do with it. So.
Right. And you were buddies with those kind of people, right? Those outdoorsy bushcraft kind of guys, and that's what you were doing.
Yeah, that's what I was doing. It used to be more on the side of like survival and friction fires and shelter building, that kind of stuff. But
then you realized you had a house.
Then I realized I had a house that I built myself too, and then why
Oh, really?
stack up sticks to go crawl? No, I still enjoy
Man,
that.
that's a flex that you built your own house.
I still enjoy that aspect of it, but I can't. This is the problem. You can't build a YouTube channel on something that eats away at the only holidays that you get, right? So every time I was never doing things really local. I was always driving, at the minimum 5 hours north up into the boreal forest or where the nice lakes and stuff. I was never doing anything in my backyard. So it was always a challenge. And then you're always away from home to make the video. So how can you consistently put videos out if you can't get away? So that's where carving is fantastic.
You can do it anywhere.
Yep.
What do you listen to music when you carve?
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
I do. But again, I'm so all over the place. I'll be in the mood. Well, I sent you a video the other day, but last night again, I went off on Irish folk music. And then tomorrow I'll be listening to 80s, and then I'll be in the 70s and the Three Dog Night, and then I'll be back into like hair metal from the 80s. It's just, I'm just all over the place, just on my mood. But I do enjoy music, but yeah, my wife maybe not so much because it's always a little bit too loud.
You got me going. Speaking of 80s hair metal, I have a newfound obsession with Scorpion.
Don't say Scorpion.
The Scorpions.
There you go. Yeah. Oh, I love them. Yeah.
How do you? That's what I said.
I used to have every single one of their cassettes. You ever owned a cassette, young fella?
What do you mean? What's a cassette? What is that?
A tape.
What do you mean?
Like not a CD, but a cassette.
Oh, like tape where you wrap
Tape.
stuff.
Yeah. No.
Like,
you play music on a cassette tape. Not a record.
play it. You made
a
an
tape
instrument too. Okay. So you like make an instrument out of tape and you
Oh
play
my
it.
goodness. Not sure. See, the problem is I'm not sure if you're actually teasing or if you're actually never seen one before.
The world will never know.
No. But when I was a boy, it was an 8-track. And then 8-track, and then records, then cassettes, then CDs, and then MP3s, right? So now we're back to records. Records are cool again, eh?
It's true.
I have been, every time I see a nice record player, I'm like, oh man, I'd love to have a record player, because then your music listening becomes the event. You choose the record, you put the record on, you put that needle on there, and you just sit back and let it play. The reason I've never done it is because with my obsessive personality, I'll have to go and buy every record or tape that I've ever owned in my life within the first 2
Right.
Just and the hunt is the fun, eh? Of
Oh
just
yeah.
finding all the old records and stuff. And yeah.
It's the best part is going to the old like garage sales and these thrift markets and finding the really nice records. I mean, it's one thing to go to the thrift store, or I'm sorry, to the record shops where they've found some vintage record and they've marked it up accordingly. But it's way more fun to sift through old, moldy, wet, saggy records in somebody's garage,
Now, you have a record player? I'm sure of it, right?
Yeah.
Of course. Yes, it's the hipster.
It is. It's part of the hipster code.
That's right.
It was in the agreement that I signed.
That's right. Is that before or after you had to get skinny jeans?
That was, let's see, 2012, 2011, I got my first pair of skinny jeans. 2012.
It's so funny because when I was like 15, I wore really tight skinny jeans.
That was a thing?
That was a thing. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. On the reverse side, growing up with bell-bottom pants, and then they went to skinny jeans. They weren't called skinny jeans; they were just real tight Levi's or Jordache.
I have no clue.
Yeah.
Well, I get why it's younger people primarily wearing them, because I have leftover skinny jeans from when they were cool, which was like last year still, I think, but they don't fit me very well in this area here, midsection. I like my stretchy pants now.
I'm still a blue jean guy, but yeah. Well,
I've covered a lot of important territory.
yeah, we're really hitting all the high points here.
What's your favorite color?
Oh no, you haven't told me what you've been up to this week yet.
Oh man, what have I been up to? Well, I've been carving. I've been working. I told myself that, so I do art shows, and I told myself that I would make 2 carvings a day last week, and this week I would make 3 really big carvings, or at least finish 3 really big carvings. And I've also wanted to make more YouTube videos, but I don't have time to film and edit videos while I'm making 2 carvings a day. So I've been live streaming my carving process, which I'm pretty sure is the most boring thing in the entire universe to watch on YouTube, because I'm not being polite and saying, hey, this is what I'm doing now. I'm just, hey guys, I'm turning the camera on. Hope you enjoy it. You know.
I didn't see any of the power carving, but I watched a little bit of you there. I saw you.
So that's keyword for, or a very nice way of saying it. It's so boring that I tuned in for a few minutes.
I was just trying to refrain from making comments on your video. Get your attention, making some silly comment, but I thought I'll leave him alone.
Right, because it's live.
Yeah.
Folks do that. Yeah, but that's really it. I mean, I went on the lake today. I did some swimming, and that was good. I've been watching the news, and unfortunately, significant amount of my day is spent watching. I feel like an old man. I'm walking around with my phone, constantly playing the news. And
why? What's happening in the world that I should know about?
It's not even. I mean, it's absolutely depressing. But this whole debacle in Afghanistan and is what I've been paying most attention to. I know there's some forest fires in California and other things going on, but it doesn't seem like there's anything more important than this bombing that happened in Kabul, in the airport there in Afghanistan. 2 people were being they were at a checkpoint, right, kind of making sure that the military, at least, was making sure that folks were good before they got on the airplane, and they bombed. They were suicide bombers. They blew themselves up and killed many people. So that happened just a few hours ago.
That's yeah, we don't have to get in too far deep, but that's one area there's been thousands of years of unrest.
Right. Yeah. Far be it from me to know what's actually going on, but it's all I know is it's really sad. So I don't know. There's not a lot. I don't know how to like segue into anything happier from that.
Yeah.
Do we just end it now? Like, it's just so sad. But no, prayers to those folks for sure, because it's and the families of the Marines that were killed, and Afghanis and all that. So, but
yes, well, we should say that is one of our other differences, that you're American and I'm Canadian.
Oh yeah, which means something actually more than I thought it did. For instance, Canadian people, I'm convinced, are nicer.
Well, yeah, of course they are.
Oh man, you're supposed to like argue with me on it. Like, no,
yeah, no, I won't argue. Yeah.
They're way nicer than I am.
Meanwhile, all my viewers are American, so I gotta be nice. But
why are Canadian people generally nicer? But they're more honest. I would say this. I've noticed that Canadian people tend to be less afraid of saying the truth, but they're also somehow nicer.
I don't know if there's any real reason or not, but I remember someone said one time that it's space. We have we have more space between us,
Yeah,
so we're more polite when we see somebody to talk to them. Yeah,
right.
but that's not true, of course, where you live. But you have many more greater cities and whatnot. So.
Yeah, we have a lot more development than you guys do for sure. We came out of the burbs when I was a little kid, so I've been in the country ever since.
Yeah, I grew up on a little hobby farm just outside of town. So.
Oh yeah,
Yep, yep.
you guys have animals?
Sheep farm.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a little 4-H 4-H sheep student.
Oh my
showing
gosh.
my sheep at the fair.
I can picture this with your long flowing beard at 13 with your
No.
goat
No.
and your staff,
Yeah, I had a goat.
Did you?
Oh yeah, we had goats too, and milked the goats. Nothing like goat milk on your cornflakes in the morning. Ugh,
That sounds bad.
it's not good.
I was surprised the raw cow milk, unpasteurized right from the cow, tastes better, I think, than the regular stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
But the goat milk, it's a lot.
Whenever someone tells me about how great raw milk is, I always have to tell this story. So out in the country, where all the farm families have pretty large families, and so my buddy had, I think there was 8 kids in my buddy's family, and I was eating supper at their house one time, and this one of the boys started just chugging their milk. Of course, they just brought the milk in a big, the old big one of the old pickle jars, probably like a 2-gallon jar, and that's what the milk was. And they poured the milk out of that into their cup. And I'll never forget this guy who's chugged his milk, and he started going choking on his milk. I don't know how gross this is to the listeners, but this is so horrible. He was choking on his milk, and then he pulled this string, and it's like a milk snot that ends up about 6 inches long. He pulls it out of his throat. It's mastitis. When you milk a cow, you always give their little teats a little dip of this a medical solution, just to keep it from getting this little. It's just masticized, but it's just like a big milk snot. And that's what, every time someone says raw milk, that's what comes to my mind. This guy pulling this thing out of his throat. This it's awful. Awful. Yeah.
Yeah, that's ruined it for me.
So, yeah, at least filter your raw milk.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Well, we were one of those like homeschool families where we would rent a cow to get around the laws here, because you can't buy unpasteurized milk here in the States.
Yep.
So in order to get around that, our friends and I, our homeschool friends up in Lapeer, which is even further in the boonies than we are, and a few other folks, fine homeschooled folks, would rent a cow.
And
we pay a monthly fee.
Yeah.
I think it was $6 or $8 a month. And then on top of that, we'd pay $4 for a half gallon of raw milk.
Huh. And it would stay on the farm.
And it would stay on the farm.
So that's just, and they would milk it. It's just a loophole. They just work around, just to work around.
Correct.
Yeah.
I never met my cow.
Oh.
Yeah. It's kind of sad.
Huh.
It was totally a screw you to the law. Like it was just like a random way that they could get around it. No one ever really cared much for their cows, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, I know the same as with the cheeses too, right? You can't have the raw cheeses or nothing like.
I don't know. I think the cheeses are different though, because whenever we would buy this cheese from Trader Joe's that was organic and raw and organic. It was so good, but it was definitely raw. So I don't know how you can get around that. So if you leave it outside for a long time to spoil and curd and turn it into cheese, it's legal then. How is that?
I don't think that's how they make cheese, Alec.
Look, I'm not a cheese expert here, Doug.
No.
Okay.
More about skimming the cream off the top and whipping her up or whatever. But
Do I look like a cheese expert to you?
yeah. Well, I won't even pretend either, because there'll be some cheese expert just listening to this, just shaking their head, going, "These morons, they don't know what they're talking about." So
I still think that that's how you make cheese, but
I don't think so.
or at least yogurt.
Yogurt is like
Leave it outside.
It's sour.
Right.
I don't think you leave it outside. It's you get the flies.
Maybe I do.
That's how you make fish oil,
Just spoiled milk.
though. No, boiled fish.
Is it really?
Yeah, you chop up a fatty fish and leave it in a jar, and the oil comes to the top. Stinks like you wouldn't believe, but
Oh,
yeah, it's awful.
I sincerely hope that you're pulling my leg right now, because I take a spoonful of fish oil every day religiously, and it's expensive.
Don't know. Never bought it.
That's a
Never
big
made it.
difference.
Never made it for consumption either.
What does your diet look like?
What?
I mean, you seem like a healthy guy. Do you eat like a healthy person? Because I'm kind of into the world of like the health world, if you will, like the culture of health. I like that stuff.
Yeah, I don't know that. I'm not a junk food guy. I enjoy my pizza, but yeah, no, all my meals are home cooked, proper meals.
Okay. All right.
Not by my doing, but
Yeah.
that's what I eat.
Right.
That's all my wife, but yeah, no, that's how I was raised too. Meat and potatoes, man. Like meat and potatoes and vegetables.
What about your raw sprouted organic vegan protein powder?
Nope. Nope. The only time I bought one thing of protein powder once when I used to fight, like do Muay Thai, and I was always too skinny. I wanted to gain weight, and they told me, like, just start drinking these shakes, like 4 of these shakes a day, and try to get some bulk on you. But my metabolism won't let me gain a pound. I never gained a pound.
Yeah. I used to have that problem, but then like I hit 23, and I learned what a dad bod is, and I have to fight it. I don't think I have a dad bod yet, but I think I could, if I just didn't make efforts, it would happen tomorrow. I could wake up with one.
Well, I've never had an inactive job.
Yeah.
But like I said too, like my metabolism, I'm 50, but I've been the same weight since I was 15.
Wow.
So
that's wild.
Give or take a pound or two, but yeah.
That's
but
nuts.
I'm sure if I ever become super inactive, then definitely it can't overcome that.
Yeah, I think basically everyone would gain weight if they ate like only junk food and didn't exercise.
Oh, you have to. Yep.
Well, I guess that is another difference between Americans and you guys. You're probably on the whole healthier than we are.
I have no clue. Never looked into it. I do know that I can buy a small pop here, though. I always thought,
yeah.
All your drinks are like so huge. It's so funny.
It's true. It's usually true. Except for we have the teeny tiny Red Bulls.
Do you?
Yeah, those
I remember last time trying to get just a regular sized pop even at the gas station, and even all the pops were king cans. Like,
yeah, it's true. We're basically the unhealthiest country. Wait, let's find out. Hey Google, is Canada healthier than America?
On the website Reuters.com, they say Canadians live about 3 years longer and are healthier than Americans, and the lack of universal health care in the United States may be a factor, researchers said on Wednesday. People also
This is
sometimes
getting
ask
political.
you,
Stop.
"Are people
Hey
in Canada
Google.
healthier?"
Stop making our podcast controversial.
how can you be lonely when you've got her with you?
You know what, Doug?
Right now.
Stop it. I'm talking to my friend.
Hey
You're
Siri,
embarrassing me.
think Alex cute?
Hey Google, do you think I'm cute?
Oh,
Absolutely.
there you go. There's your new friend. It's not
Nah.
Siri. Who's Siri then? Siri is what?
Siri is the iPhone and
That's
the
iPhone.
Apple product.
Okay, this is Google. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I've never had these things, so
Well, you probably have them. You just probably haven't
I
turned them
have it
on.
on my phone, but I've never turned it on. I don't like it. Seems a little bit weird. But
It
now
is weird.
people grow up. I know that people doing their homework are talking to Google and Siri full time doing their homework. Like it's a whole different way of growing
It's
up,
true.
getting your information. It's funny. Yesterday, I was at a place and they had the old World Book encyclopedias, and I said to my buddy, I said, "You remember these? That's how we did our homework. We had to go to the encyclopedias. Every house had people were encyclopedia salesmen, and every house had a whole row of these encyclopedias. And if you had to research something, you had to go get the encyclopedia and try not to plagiarize whatever was in there for your homework. And I think this Siri would be much easier.
Well, I remember my parents being convinced some sales guy was hawking some encyclopedias and convinced my parents to spend, I think it was like $1,000 or something, on like a full
Yeah.
Encyclopedia Britannica that takes up still to this day the entire first like 3 shelves of their library.
Yep, you can't give them away now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true.
They line all the landfills around now. Yeah.
They're decorative. But even now, well, so I dropped out of college, but when I first started college, I was 17 years old. That was 10 years ago. And then I went back to school, and that was 8 or so years later. And even math homework was completely different in school 10 years ago as opposed to 8 years later, just a couple years ago. People would make fun of me because I did the homework. And they would be like, "Don't you know about the apps, the Math X scanner?" And I was like, "No, what the heck is a Math X scanner?" And then they grab my phone, download an app, scan the math problem. It would do it for you. You'd input it on the computer. You're done for the day.
Wow.
Until test day,
Test time. That's right.
when no one knows what the heck is going on in math,
Yeah.
except for me,
Yeah.
the village idiot who sucks at math. I come out ahead. Yeah.
Well, there you go. This is going to be the theme of this podcast, folks. The difference is growing up as Alec and growing up as Doug. Yeah.
That's right. So I'd say that's about all we have for them.
Yeah. Are we happy? Have you learned anything this week, or have you studied or gone on any tangents in your media or reading or anything worthwhile?
Have I learned anything interesting?
Well, you think about that. I will tell you what I was been doing as well is I've been on I have a tool fetish, as you may know, but I've been controlling myself very well. But I just put some money down and ordered a tool that I don't think I'll ever have a proper use for. We'll see. But I watched all these videos and I read up all about the history, and I got into a Clogger's knife. Have you ever heard of a Clogger's knife? Also known as a stock knife and also known as a peg knife.
I have no idea.
Yeah, well, it's think of it as the old paper cutter on steroids on a big block of wood, and you just take your wood and you just do these big chopping. It's a clogger, meaning like a wooden shoemaker knife.
Oh,
so it's like you have an eye hook on a table, and the knife has a hook but a big long blade and then a big long handle, so you got lots of leverage, and you can really just horse the wood and just shape the wood without always running to the saw or whatever. You just go chop, chop, chop. And yeah, so I watched a lot of videos on that. Real English guys in the of course Europeans more than North America. But really cool little tool.
What is it? What is a paper cutter? You said a paper cutter. You mean like a knife?
Like,
what is it shaped like? I'm trying to picture what this thing looks like.
cutter would be like
Oh, like
a desktop.
Yeah, right. The slicer.
The slicer. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh,
but it's not really like that because there's a lot more play. You can actually aim because it's got one fastened end on it.
Oh,
but you can still turn it and roll it, but it's still always got that point on the top. And then you can just take any way you want to go and just chop wood.
So are you kind of harkening back to your ancestry and making wooden shoes? Is that what this is?
Wooden shoes. Although I am a fan of wooden shoes, I can't foresee myself making wooden shoes. Probably more the learning curve and versus my patience and my I'd have to wear them.
Hey,
more.
That'd be kind of neat. You could customize them to your foot.
Yeah. I have every time I get a pair of shoes, I always have to take a little bit out of the top because I got a little bit of a higher foot and they're uncomfortable. But yeah.
Oh, the arch?
No, the top, whatever you call the top of your foot there.
Oh.
I'm talking about wooden shoes.
Oh. Whenever you have to, yeah, right.
I always have to take a few bites with a gouge to get my foot in there. But
you own a pair of wooden shoes?
I have worn wooden shoes since I was a kid.
You're not kidding?
I'm not kidding.
I was making a joke.
No. I don't wear them out of my house. Every video that you see, if I'm in my workshop, not this room, but if I'm in my workshop, you'll hear the little clop, 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 clop. That's my shoes on the cement floor.
What?
Yeah, I wear them outside around the house and always in the workshop. I don't know.
What do they feel like?
Great. Super
Seriously?
comfy. Oh yeah, I love them. You just can't wear them to town. Yeah, no, we always had wooden shoes at the back door growing up as a kid. And if you had to run down to the barn or run out, grab the mail at the mailbox or just running around, they're just quick slip-ons. It's the equivalent to your Crocs or your flip-flops. They're just easy slide on and just,
Yeah, like what I'm wearing right now. Just like wooden shoes. Actually, in all fairness, I think these have cork in them.
Yeah, those are. I've never had sandals. But.
Yeah, well, I appreciate. Yeah, I know what you're thinking right now.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
Yeah. says the guy with the wooden shoes. Yeah.
Okay, I thought of something though.
What's that?
I thought of what I learned this week.
Yes.
And it's maybe less what I learned, but something I got into. I found a podcast called Masters of Scale with Reid Hoffman. He's the guy who co-founded LinkedIn, I believe. Anyway, he interviews one of my all-time favorite characters in the business world, the founder of Nike, Phil Knight. He wrote this awesome book about kind of starting Nike and basically from writing a paper in college to getting a good response from his professor, deciding that he turned that paper, which was about why the camera movement went from Germany to Japan and how it reduced the cost of the manufacturing and improved the quality of the optics, and how that we should do that with shoes, because primarily shoes were made, I think, somewhere in Europe, and he wanted to bring them to Japan. Anyway, this paper did well. He took the idea to Japan and pretended to have a company, a distribution company, with a meeting of one of the largest shoe manufacturers in Japan, and convinced them, and went home, scrambled to create the business, and just hoped that they wouldn't try and visit him. Eventually they did. They were shocked with the fact that he was operating out of some crap hole of a little broom. And
really?
Anyway, it's a great story, but they interview him and he kind of talks about other parts of his business that I didn't know about, like how they marketed to women, how they were so focused, narrowly focused, Nike that is, when they first started, on the product being useful, that they didn't even consider the fact that it had to look good. And then when Reebok came out, they started really working hard on making a product that also looked good. They hired a designer who later became the CEO. Anyway, it's a great podcast if you're into that kind of stuff. And
Huh.
the book is Shoe Dog, and it's really good. I
Shoe
know
Dog?
I'm not even a shoe guy. I'm not necessarily even a big, startup company interview kind of a guy, but I don't know what I'm trying to say there. But my point is, it's a great book. I think anyone reading it would enjoy it. Shoe Dog made me cry. I laughed.
Huh. So you're not a shoe guy though.
I mean, I have a
Some-
lot of shoes, but I'm not like
Some people are right into shoes, eh?
well, you know about that, the whole like sneaker world.
I've watched a few of these sneaker heads,
Yep.
but I can't relate.
Well, you could just start a whole new movement with wooden shoes.
There you go.
A clogger head.
Clogger nuts. There you go.
Clogger nuts.
Did.
What?
You just did it.
That's it for us, folks. Thanks for listening.
What shoe did the 12-year-old Alec crave?
12-year-old Alec probably didn't really care about clothes at all until he met his best friend, Jacob Wilkinson, who turned him on to fashion and took him to the Somerset Mall and bought him a pair of skinny jeans. And then he started thinking about shoes. What were were you a shoe guy when you were 14? Do you have a shoe that you wanted?
Oh, you're froze up on us.
Oh, did I?
Oh, no, not at all. No, never. I do remember though, when I was a kid, some of the guys, I think they're called kangaroo shoes or something at the time.
Oh,
They had
yeah.
little zippers. You could put a dime in the zipper to make a phone call. So you always had a dime for at the phone booth.
Huh.
Yeah. But no, I didn't know nothing about fashion at all either. I got all the hand-me-downs from my brothers and stuff my whole life until I got my first job. So
Right.
the first job was straight to the store, and I bought a pair of Levi's.
Yep.
And a pair of probably at the time, I think they're probably Adidas shoes or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that the coolest ones I ever had when I was around that age were hand-me-down Sambas, they're called.
Okay.
They're kind of like a sneaker. I don't know how to describe shoes, so I won't even try, but they had a big, tall tongue on the back. No, wait, the tongue's on the front. See, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with shoes. Sambas.
I just had a thought, for the people listening, it's not a big deal. But if you're watching this video, am I the little guy and you're the full screen? Should we have been side by side?
Oh, yeah, now we're side by side, but we weren't at first, so that was my bad.
Oh, okay. I see it as you. Okay, that's just the way Zoom works then.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Just to make sure.
Right. So we live and we learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where are we at? I think
about there.
I think we're about there. A good little introduction to not be too. It's not all about wood carving, is it?
No, I think we probably talked more about wooden shoes, but that sort of is like wood carving.
But if you want to give the email address, if people want to contact us, if they have any even discussion topic,
yeah,
it's coffee and the coffee and carving show at gmail.com.
Yep, coffee and carving show at Gmail.
Just carving show, not
correct. And I'll put a link in the description.
Okay, yeah, cool.
Neither of us probably actually know it.
No, but this was fun.
It was. This was great. Thanks for joining me or something.
No, thank you for joining me.
No, you're welcome.
You're supposed to, okay. We're not gonna go back and forth.
No, you hang up.
Okay.